So I don't know about any of you guys watching this right now, but for me growing up, one of my favorite shows ever was The Walking Dead. I remember staying up late at night when I was like 10, 11 years old, and with my parents, we'd watch the premiere of every new episode to see how Rick and the gang would try to find a new place to live at, and then like 10 episodes later, that place would end up in flames. It was great. With all the great characters in the show, all the conflict that arises, and those beautiful, gory walkers, I can definitely say for sure that The Walking Dead has a special place in my heart. Well, at least the older seasons do. The franchise nowadays is pretty dookie. I mean, after the group found Alexandria, it felt like the show had some sort of samey formula when it came to antagonists. Some deaths felt pretty forced, and don't even get me started with Andrew Lincoln leaving the show, and then the business heads at AMC thinking it was a good idea to add in countless amounts of spin-offs. But hey, I'll watch season 2 any day of the week. I love watching kids get shot. But growing up loving the show, naturally I would turn my focus towards the games, and you know, some of them are pretty good, maybe. I mean, you of course have Telltale's The Walking Dead, and that season 1 is an ultimate classic, but just like the show, the later seasons are more You have Saints and Sinners chapters 1 and 2 for the VR headset, and to this day, they are still my favorite virtual reality games. But for every good Walking Dead game there is in the world, there's about 2 horrible cash grabs that bring down the franchise's name. You have shitty mobile games, you then have really shitty mobile games. You guys remember that one Overkill game that was so bad it was taken off all markets not even a year after release? Hell, did you guys even know that there was a Walking Dead game that has a blockchain? I don't know what's worse, flesh-eating mindless zombies that roam the world to savagely eat any and every poor soul alive, or crypto losers. Ugh. Recently though, there's been a new Walking Dead game that has been released on Steam, and after playing it, I can assure you that it is the biggest and most blatant cash grab that I have ever seen in my life. This game genuinely rivals the recently shut down The Day Before game in terms of how shit it truly is. In fact, even calling this a game would be an insult to every single gaming developer that has at least tried to create something. There is not a single ounce of creativity, thought, or even care put into this when it was being developed, and it releasing is one of the most baffling decisions I've ever witnessed in my life. The game I'm talking about is, of course, The Walking Dead Destinies. Developed by Flux Games Incorporated and published by Game Mill Entertainment. Wow, what a lineup of talented people who made nothing but bangers in both companies. Whatever though, The Walking Dead Destinies follow the storyline of the first 3 seasons from the show, from Rick Grimes waking up in the hospital to the eventual rise of the prison group and everything else in between. However, what makes this game special is that you'll be able to mostly control either Rick or his best friend turned worst enemy Shane Walsh. And on top of that, every single vital decision and even minor subplot decisions will be made by you and only you, which will affect who will live and who dies. So let's say you wanted Carl to die after he got shot in season 2 because during that time he was a good for nothing shit for brains. Well, you can decide just to not get the medical supplies to help him, and there you go. Or maybe you wanted Shane to kill Rick off and to take control of the group to see how they'll end up. On paper, the concept of Destiny sound amazing. For most hit shows, fans will always have that lingering question of what if, to see exactly how different scenarios would pan out with different characters. And to have a game like this that would solve your burning questions, let alone on what would many call the peak of The Walking Dead, it really sounds like Flux Games and Game Mill have an absolute goldmine here. But then you open up the game and you play it for 5 minutes, and soon you'll realize that the concept is the only good thing going for this game. Everything, and I truly mean everything about The Walking Dead Destinies is a half-baked lazy mess. So let's just jump right in. Starting off with the looks of Destinies, I know that there are people who don't believe graphics make a game good. Hell, I'm on that side. I love games like Project Zomboid and Cruelty Squad, even though they can look like a glorified LSD trip at times. But with Destinies, I don't understand how this game looks this bad. It looks like a high schooler who was dropped on their head when they were a child made this game on the Unity engine for the first time. It looks like every developer who made this had no clue what The Walking Dead was before making this and just tried to copy what they saw from the first episode while also being high off their ass. It looks like the shit that comes out of my ass can resemble any of the characters on the show better than the Destinies model. It looks bad. That's what I'm trying to get at. I'm not sure if the developers were trying to make anything artistically speaking. Maybe they were trying to go for a certain style style, but even then I would have no clue what that would be other than shitty mobile game. It doesn't help either that all the cutscenes that you can see in this game are 9 times out of the 10 static. So all you see is an ugly ass face or two sitting there for an awkward amount of time, maybe with an added camera effect that shakes the screen, and then a change of frames onto the next static image. There is a rare time where a model will have some sort of animation, but it is the most basic shit ever, like Rick crawling for example. It's almost as if the developers making this game wanted to add some sort of life in here, but then they realized that takes time and money to do so. Speaking of cutscenes, I guess I should tell you that most characters are not voiced by their original roles. I mean, there are some reprisals, don't get me wrong. Emily Kinney comes back to play Beth, Sarah Wayne Callies also comes back to play Lori, same with Irony as T-Dog and Madison Lintz as Sophia. Hell, if you missed the 12 minutes that Marquise Moore was the prisoner named Andrew on the show, well then I got some great news for you. But for every other character that was on the show originally, they do not come back to reprise their roles. And their new voice actors, they sound bad.
Hey you, what's that bandage for? Did you get bit?
Bit? No, I got shot.
Shot? You even know what's going on?
I'm a cop. Woke up today in the hospital. That's all I know.
I understand if you can't get Andrew Lincoln or John Bernthal or even Michael Rooker to play their roles, as it does cost a pretty penny to have them back, or maybe they just didn't want to voice their roles. But man, these new actors sound like they do not care in the slightest. It feels like Shane and Rick's actors were told to just have a country accent and to go off the first recording that they make. There is no real emotion here, no resemblance of the original crew, and it gets far worse from here as well. Like I said, the game is based off the 3 seasons of the show. However, if you are new to The Walking Dead, I would advise you to not base your feelings on the franchise off of this game. To tell you all that The Walking Dead Destinies breeze on by with a story and miss out on so many pivotal scenes would be such an understatement. In fact, let me give you all a rundown on the very first episode of The Walking Dead titled Days Gone By, and I'll compare that to Destinies. The show starts off with a deputy sheriff Rick and his partner slash best friend Shane in a cop car chilling by a fast food joint. Rick discusses how there's been some marriage trouble with Lori back at home, but soon enough they get cut off by a pursuit happening in which Rick gets shot and placed into a coma for months on end. Here, we're able to both see how Rick got to where he's at in the hospital and how he has no clue about the outbreak, but we could also see Rick's relationship with his family and his best friend Shane before this whole outbreak even started. In Destinies, you get to see some text for about 2 seconds, and then Rick wakes up in the hospital. In the show, Rick walks up to the empty, trashed hospital, unknown of what's been happening in the world. As he sees the "Don't Dead" open inside doors, he quickly makes his way out of the building to see mass bodies lying around, and to his horror, a zombie crawling on the ground, already decaying and missing its lower half. Realizing the horrors beyond belief, Rick beelines it towards his house to try to find Lori and Carl, as his family means everything to him in these trying times, and he wants to know if they made it out safe. Unable to find them, however, Rick leaves his house only to find a man killing a walker, and then a boy smacking him upside the head with a shovel out of fear that he's a walker too. In Destinies, after finding the same iconic door in the show, Rick goes down another hallway to immediately find zombies roaming in the area. He has to sneak around in some sort of tutorial stage to see how these zombies act, and once leaving the hospital, he has to do the same exact thing in the courtyard. How fun. Once leaving the area, Rick encounters another zombie, in which he tries to greet them, even though he's seen the zombies already and know what they do, but he is saved by the man who this time has no boy with him. In the show, after meeting the boy named Dwayne and his father Morgan, Rick is told about the apocalypse and how these zombies will eat anything that moves in front of it. He's also told about Morgan's zombified wife, whose death still haunts and traumatizes the two to this day. On the next day, the three make it out towards the police station to obtain any weapons or vehicles so Rick can make his way towards the Atlanta to find a survivor camp there. They collect some supplies without any issue. Rick is taught about how to kill these zombies by putting down his past colleague, and then the three part ways with Rick getting a cruiser to head over to Atlanta. Before he makes it though, he stops at where he met the first zombie to apologize for its circumstances and to put it out of its misery. He shows a massive amount of compassion and humanity in a trying time like this. During a zombie apocalypse, most people would either be terrified of the zombie or would put it down without question, but not officer friendly. His other stop is at a farm where he runs out of gas, but he picks up a horse to finish out the travel. But to his dismay, he comes across a horde of zombies that rip through his horse like it was nothing, which shows that even though 1 or 2 zombies are easy to take on, hundreds are the real danger. And as Rick finds refuge in a tank, we wonder how he's able to get out of here alive. In the game, Rick is taught how to fight the zombies with a baseball bat and a knife, and during that time he comes across a police cruiser that is shockingly perfectly folded in clean sheriff clothes that fit his size exactly. He fucks off from Morgan and leaves in the cruiser and makes his way over to Atlanta. As he's roaming through the streets of Atlanta on foot for whatever reason, he finds an alley to traverse through for another reason that I cannot explain, as it loops back from where he came from. And after some scaffolding breaks below him, he tries to enter a tank to find some shelter away from the max 30 zombies that are there. This is just the first episode, but it paints a very clear picture of who Rick Grimes is as a person and how he tries to survive in this unknown apocalypse. So many scenes and even characters in just this one episode is missing in the game, and it makes absolutely no sense why. And this isn't just a one-off type of thing. There is a lot of missing scenes and characters throughout all 3 seasons of the game that are pivotal in the show. Like, you don't see the elderly group that kidnapped Glenn and basically told the viewer that other people would do anything to survive. With that, there's no mention of the Living, the first hostile group that is seen in the show, which is really weird because this is the moment where Rick finally kills a human being for the first time, and this is also the part where Rick and Shane's tension boils over due to the conflict of Randy knowing about the group. There's also, which really baffled me, no inclusion of the CDC. You know, one of, if not the most important places in the show that lets the viewer and Rick know that there's no cure for this virus and that every single person in the world is infected. Who in their right mind thought this was a good idea to scrap? And for the characters that are missing, oh man, I hope you all are seated for this because this list is pretty long. You all ready for this? Okay, The Walking Dead Destinies is missing Dwayne, Andrea or Amy, Jackie, Morales, Otis, Patricia, Jimmy, Tyrese or Sasha, and last but probably least actually, every single prisoner from the prison except for Andrew. I gotta be honest, man, having a game that controls who is in and who isn't in your group isn't really a good concept for the game if half the group from the show are not present here. That's like having a choice to make a cheeseburger, but your only options are bread and meat and they're added cheese. Why be a leader of a group that half the people just vanish from the face of Earth? Oh wait, the decisions. So like I said, there are some pivotal decisions that can affect who stays or who dies in your group. And then there's also some minor decisions too. Starting off with the minor decisions, you get maybe about 1 or 2 of these per mission. Usually before you start up a mission, you can traverse through the different survivor camps to talk to your group members. This doesn't do anything, by the way. They say the most basic shit ever. But you can also go to a map to pick out who will do some scavenging that'll give you some skill points if completed correctly. Some of these missions are actually seen in the show. Like you can choose Glenn to go out to find Merle or T-Dog or whoever you left behind, or you can have Daryl go look out for Sophia during that time when he fell onto his arrow. During these missions though, the survivor you ask to scavenge will contact you to ask for help or not. These minor decisions ultimately are fucking useless. You don't see the survivors go out and scavenge, you don't go out and help them yourselves, and the skill points that you earn from this aren't really that useful at all, and I'll tell you why in a little bit. About every 2 or 3 missions, you get a decision that occurs from the actual show. Like you can handcuff Merle to the rooftop of Atlanta, or try to defuse the conflict, which will let T-Dog get handcuffed instead. Or you can choose to be Shane and fight Rick or vice versa. At face value, it seems like these decisions will majorly impact the storyline, but it actually doesn't do anything except for one thing. You see, every character that joins your group brings a skill set that you can unlock with points. These points can be found by collecting magazines or boom boxes or other various items throughout each level. But if that specific character dies or leaves the group, the skill set is locked away forever. That's really the only change that can occur in this game, and it's not even a huge consequence. You can get dozens of skill points per level, which can unlock so many skills off the bat. Hell, even around season 2, you can max out on everything, I swear to God. And I mean, yeah, a character dying means that you don't get to see their ugly ass face ever again, which actually might be a blessing in disguise, but in terms of the actual main storyline, they don't do shit. Like, I saved Merle just to see how he would pan out with everybody else. He's pretty disliked by everybody in the show. He's partly an antagonist for Christ's sake, but throughout season 1, he doesn't actually have a voice line, and he's not playable until one of the last levels of season 2, and even then, it's for about 10 minutes and never again. The fuck am I gonna do saving these guys if they already don't do shit? This is just a waste of air. Finally, there's the combat within Destinies. I saved this for the last because there's nothing to talk about. The combat is the most bland shit that I have ever seen in a game. Remember when I said the day before rivals this game? Well, I can say with confidence that the day before gave me just a tiny bit of emotion motion when in combat, something that Destinies could not and would not ever do. So, within Destinies, you can take on the zombies head-on or stealthily. With stealth, the zombies can't hear you or see you for shit, so you can just walk up to everything, knife it, and boom, there you go. Head-on, you can have some more options. You can use a two-handed weapon to knock back some multiple zombies or kill them outright, but if you stun them with the two-handed weapon, you can pick them off one by one with the knife. However, the former choice is far easier. You could also shoot the zombies with different guns, but the sensitivity is somehow higher than a regular Twitter user. Good thing for auto-aim though. Zombies typically have one way of attacking you, and that's if they grab you. You lose health over time while they hold on to you, but all you have to do is press a button 3 times. Phew. How invigorating this gameplay was. I was stressed when that happened. Of course, they're no problem because goddamn, you could outwalk them with their shitty pathfinding. And even if there are 30 zombies at once, you will absolutely have no problem. There are different types of zombies as well, which is new to the game. There's like screamer zombies, there's really fat zombies. The screamer zombies, they scream. Could you guys not guess that? However, they're not really loud at all and they don't attract any zombies nearby, so they don't do jack shit at all. And the fat zombies, they have a little bit of a charge up and they have a little bit more health, but they are still very easy to take on. But there's also humans that are seen maybe once or twice and have guns who attack you and armor to protect themselves. Oh my god, daring today, are we? Well, these enemies are actually weak and utterly stupid just like the zombies, that I could punch these guys to death. If that isn't peak game design, I have no clue what is. Oh, and before I forget, let's just quickly go over the levels. They're all really linear for some reason. They offer no room for exploration, even though this is a zombie apocalypse. And usually you go to one area to pick off a bunch of zombies to go to a next area, or you might have to pick up a bunch of loot. It's just the same old content over and over again. I had no interest going by any of the environments, no matter what place I was at. There was no moment where I stopped and smelled the roses because the places looked really nice. Hell, in some places you can very easily tell where the land ends and the endless void begins. Sorry for almost forgetting about that, everybody. It's just when you create an environment that's so bland and boring, you kind of just forget things pretty quickly. And that's The Walking Dead Destinies. In short, how is this game out? How is this worth $40 on Steam? This is the definition of lazy. I really have no clue what dumb motherfuckers would pay actual hard-earned money to play this piece of stinking shit. Oh. Well, shut up, okay? I don't know, man. I feel like most Walking Dead games are just shitty cash grabs, apart from a few games. This is not one of them, by the way. But damn, man, the Walking Dead games really have no shame, do they? I actually kind of want to cover all the Walking Dead games that have released before. Maybe I could even make a ranking video on all of them. That would be pretty cool, you know, pretty innovative. Anyways, what did you all think of the Walking Dead Destinies? Did you all love it, hate it? Leave it down in the comments below. But other than that, I'm gonna end this video here. Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you guys like it, hit that like button and subscribe. And other than that, I will see you all in another video. Bye for now.